Roll call.
Fullerton,
Here.
Christensen,
Present.
Here.
Brummett,
Here.
Scott,
Here.
Newman,
Here.
Rodriguez. Absent.
I don't see Andy Schaefer. Is anybody here calling for Andy Schaefer for the invocation? Please,
Oh, I thought
please do, Randy. You can handle it, right?
This invocation, I always read a Bible verse too, so I'll do that tonight. Psalms 37:5, commit your way to the Lord, trust in him, and he will do this. Father God, we come before you again this evening. We're thankful, God, for your mercy and your grace. We're thankful, God, for the community that you have given us. Lord, we pray that you would be with our council members, with the public that have showed up tonight. Lord, let everything be done decently and in order. Lord, let good decisions be made that will be for the benefit of this community. And we ask all this in Christ's name. Amen.
I'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. First thing on the agenda is approval of the minutes from the March 23rd, 2026 meeting. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Is there any corrections or additions? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Minutes are approved. Absence of council members, Councilman Rodriguez called, let me know he's tied up at work. So we'd look for a motion to excuse his absence.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Scott, second by Christensen. Yes. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. We now will open the floor for public comment. Public comment is different than if you're here because of you want to talk about the assessment. That'd be more proper done at the public hearing, which is the very next one. But, so do we have public comment from anybody sitting in the audience?
Good evening. Nicole Christensen, Charlotte resident. I'm coming wearing many hats tonight, I guess. I'm going to start with the county level as District 12 County Commissioner. I just wanted to do a huge shout out and thank you to our 911 Central Dispatch operators. This started yesterday, April 12th to the 18th is National Public Safety Telecommunicators Week. So thank you to all of them that are watching for being that calm voice that we hear as a community when we have to call in. Also, county level, the Eaton County Spring Cleanup, the first one is going to take place in Delta Township May 9th from 9 to 2. That is open to all Eaton County residents. If you've got electronics, yard waste, household stuff, scraps, tires, and more, they'll take it. They will be doing one here in Charlotte again in August. I will come back with that date later. You do have to pre-register, just so that it's on the record. The number's 517-543-3686. That brings me, sticking with cleanup, we're going to move to the city level. There will be a city cleanup on Earth Day, April 22nd, and there's one tentative time right now. There will be another, we believe, second time that will be announced soon. And then I'm going to move on to Friends of Eaton County Animals. This is kind of a repeat, but I still hear daily, I didn't realize animal control was closed. Yes, we do not have an animal control. They do, I shouldn't say we don't, they operate at 10%, basically. So at this point, I want to thank the Charlotte Police Department for stepping up and helping out where they can. They're not trained, they don't have the funds, they don't have the staffing, nor do they have the capacity to hold animals, but they're helping out as much as they can, and I appreciate that. I started scanning dogs at 6:20 this morning that I still haven't found the owner, so I don't know if it was dumped or what. But Anyways, Friends of Eaton County Animals is not affiliated with Eaton County Animal Control. We are our own 501c3, and we will be at the Home and Business Expo this weekend at the fairgrounds. So stop down and see us and find out what we're all about. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else for public comment from the audience? Madam Clerk, anyone online for public comment?
No.
All right, we'll close public comment. And before we get started in the public hearing, I got a couple of comments trying to clarify some things that we've heard. I want to make a couple of comments before we open the public hearing about the emergency vehicles and services special assessment. This is not a second special assessment. It's a name change and a list with a list of what the special assessment will be spent on, which some of you in the audience, it looks like this. This is the list we've been talking about. Those are your dollar amounts and what it would be spent on. The last special assessment, which was called City Fire, will not be on your taxes. And that was done a lot because the assessment, when it was done before, was put on the fire department's backs, is really what happened. And we tried our best not to have that happen, but it did. You'll notice that this list does not include any wages except for the volunteer fire stipend. Wages for all city employees come out of the general fund, not from the special assessment. So police officers, firefighters, none of that comes out of the special assessment. It's just what's on this list. That's all that's spent for. It's the things that make the place work, you know, the fuel, the gas, the repairs, and those kind of things. Also, an item marked on there is ambulance. And that ambulance is the contract amount that the city pays to provide an ambulance service to the citizens of the city of Charlotte. The ambulance service uses that money to provide the fleet of ambulances that they have. Our other choice is that we don't do anything with the ambulance, we don't do a contract, then the city would be in, some private company would come in, and you sometimes wait for 30 minutes for an ambulance when a private company runs it. So that's why the city has always done an ambulance expense. You know, I don't like it any better than you do. I've lived here 70 years and I've never used the ambulance once, but you know, other people need it. And so that's why ambulance expense is on there in case that was somebody's idea. Some mistakes were made by previous councils by granting benefits that we are still trying to make up for, we as the city. The city's retirement funding went for a long time over 100% funded to less than 50%. This council has opted to propose a newly named special assessment which shows where the monies will be spent on fire, police, and ambulance vehicles and services. And I think this council, I think along with me, we're all taxpayers. And I don't think any of us up here really want to have a special assessment. And for that reason, the other thing that we're working on, that a lot of people don't know that we're working on, is we're trying to bring back things to the city that actually produces income. For instance, the building department. We've already moved to do that. The building department is coming back to the auspices of the city, under the direction of the city. We've got a housing committee that's looking for people that want to come build houses. They've had some good experience. So if we can increase the tax base of the city by being friendly, and I know I saw that in your comment, you'll bring that up, but we have this notion out there that we're not friendly in this town, and we're trying to correct that. And so this is just one way that we can maybe get some more income into the city, and that eventually that will help offset the need for a special assessment. But this council did not get us into this problem. We are not none of us up here spent the money on benefits like it was spent. And so we're trying to actually take the problem and fix it. So when we open the public hearing, we as a council will not be allowed to have any back and forth with citizens. So if you say you want a question, you want to answer it right now, you can't get an answer. So make your comments, and we as a council will be trying to answer those questions during the discussion time when the vote actually comes up, which is later on in the agenda. With that, I'd like to inform you that if you wish to speak, you will need to come forward to the microphone and state your name and address, and that is so that the clerk can track who you are, where you live, so that you are eligible to petition against this petition, or again, against this assessment, petition against that. If you don't get your name in the record, then you're not eligible to do that. So that's why that's important, that she track you. And this will be recorded by the clerk, and the clerk will also be tracking your time, as you will be allowed 5 minutes for your comments. You know, obviously, we fudge that one way there a little bit, but up to that amount of time. So with that, I'll declare that the public hearing for the emergency vehicle and service assessment is open. First person would like to come forward and give us some thoughts.
Hello, my name is Scott Kenyon, 414 Oakwood Drive, Charlotte, Michigan. Just getting on the record.
Okay, thank you. And we actually have 9 letters that the clerk has already,
10. I had one handed to me.
10 total. So the clerk has already received 10 letters. Those are all entered into the record. Mr. Bracci.
My name is Mark Bracci, 948 Chad's Way. I live in Charlotte. I've been here for over 25 years now. We were told that this was an unfunded mandate assessment. That's all it was for. It's the only thing we were going to take care of that unfunded mandate. And I agreed with it. I think it's great. But it's been, 5 years now? We've collected almost $6-7 million so far, and we still haven't paid it off. But what we're going to do is change the name of it, so now it's a special assessment for police and fire. Come on, guys. It's smoke and mirrors. You're just trying to keep it there. Forget about it. Last year, Kevin passed a motion to look at cost savings, find out what we can do. Never heard anything about that, other than the motion being done. I don't remember seeing anything about, well, we're going to save money here, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. This is still the same dollar value, it's just shifting. What this has become now is it's an unvoted public safety millage. That's all it is. We've found a way to do something without having to go into the people, because people aren't going to vote for this, and everybody knows it. But it's terrible. I mean, it's been 5+ years, $1.2 million. It was a little bit more last year, maybe, I don't know. Still, it's crazy. And it was originally passed for one reason and one reason only. And yeah, I am opposed to it again this year, just like I was last year, and I'll be opposed to it next year, because I know it's going to pass this year, and I know you're going to ask for it again next year, and you're going to ask for it the year after that. You'll ask for it for every year until I die. And then I hope my kids come in and start beating up for it. Because that's what it is. It's become an unfunded, unvoted millage.
Oh, Randy Royston, I've got 3 different properties. You want me to tell you each one? 410 Lovett, 404 West 3rd, 138 Clinton. Came because the letter says that if I don't come, I have no recourse later, so that's why I'm here. I kind of agree with most of what was just said previously about an assessment without any vote whatsoever. It's just done on a yearly basis. It's continuing to be done. We don't have any say in it. We're all going to have our say here tonight, but I think everybody in the audience is 100% sure you're still going to vote it in, no matter if everybody here says they didn't want it.
Franklin Seabolt. I'm at 741 Sheldon. I'm opposed. I want to be on record, clear. You've constantly increased my costs on property over and over again. Eventually, you'll run people out of town. The people are leaving already. You say, oh, we want to be friendly. That ain't friendly. Some of these people, fixed income. They don't have an opportunity to make up for dollars that keep being added to just living in town. That's my opinion.
Hi, my name is Michael Kemp, 879 State Street. I oppose this special assessment also. I've been a residential lot since 1969 and a homeowner in the same house since 1989, 37 years. During that time, I've kept all my property receipts. My property taxes have gone up 450% over that time. And I can guarantee you that my wages have not went up no 450%. So I oppose this. I got a little letter here. I ain't much of a public speaker. I don't even know the reasons how we got to this point, other than the rumor mill mutterings of illegal activities, fiduciary irresponsibility of robbing Peter to pay Paul for pensions with no apparent accountability. I have some questions. Why are only property owners again being asked, who account for 65% of Schlott residents, expected to continue funding all city expenses, while 35% who are renters at trailer parks, apartments, or houses pay nearly nothing? 2, why with an annual operating fund of $6.5 million a year over the past few years, and all of a sudden, that's been fine for years up till 2023, and all of a sudden we're short on money? We already pay the taxes for the general fund, separate millages for city yard waste, city recycling, city debt, along with separate water and sewage charges that the city cannot meet a budget without this proposal. I've already paid the special assessment for 2024 and 25 calendar years that total over $291 and $299 respectfully. A quick Google search shows that there are 3,625 households and 436 plus businesses that total 4,061 entities paying. Using these numbers as a base, it reflects a minimum amount of $1.2 million in added revenue for each year, yet it still is not enough. My third question, regarding the special assessment supposedly for fire, police, and ambulance. Again, fire, why are only city property owner residents funding services while residents outside city limits get the same services for basically free? Maybe charge additional charges for out-of-town calls to help revenue. Police, services have always been very good for years with no issue. They've been very responsive to me in the past, and I appreciate our local police force. But why now are they being used as a pawn for this assessment? If there's an actual issue, do as a private business would, cut costs. One less vehicle from many they have, one less officer, or limiting mileage for savings on fuel and maintenance costs. And the third is the ambulance. Every ambulance I've seen has a large block M for the University of Michigan, which is very noticeable on the side of the ambulances. Why are we proposing taxes being requested to use and allocate to a private business who already charge outrageous rates for transportation? Because of so many unanswered questions, transparency issues, and fiduciary duties, I do not support and protest the special assessment until full transparency, new policies, and usage of every dollar is accounted for. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Jan Gray Bruce. I live at 2428 East Vermontville Highway. However, I'm responsible for my 92-year-old mother who lives at 142 Canterbury Drive. I don't know if I oppose this or if I'm for it at this point. I just know that it takes 5 months of her income to pay her taxes. So it concerns me as to what's happening here. And I just would like to know more details. Thank you.
Tim Vayner, 560 Oakwood Drive. I'm new to the area. And one of the reasons I moved out here was to get away from the high taxes that the city of Lansing is charging everybody and all the special assessments that they have been bringing forward. You guys are way off base on your tax basis here. You advertise one thing, or if you call City Hall and ask questions, you cannot get an answer from City Hall what your taxes are gonna be. I've been here for a year, and I still don't know what my taxes are gonna be. And now you wanna hit me with another assessment? I guess I'll have to find another place to retire.
My name's Kyle Adams, and I live at 404 4th Street. And I'm a bit concerned with this special assessment, especially when we talk about in the letter that we received that if you look at the verbiage that is in section 54-1 under the code and Public Act 33 of 1951. Is there some particular reason that we're looking at something that was dated back in 1951 as to why this special assessment has all of a sudden come to light from something that was almost 60 years ago? I would have thought that you folks would have had at least some time to look at this act and see what we can do to update it to today, other than giving us a list of all of the costs that it's going to take for us to meet this special assessment. Now, I understand, and Kevin, I've got the utmost response, towards you and the fire department. I respect all of you, but I've got a concern with what was published in the paper that said that somebody, or you folks, went ahead and said, hey, go ahead and look to see what the FEMA. I've looked at the FEMA. I worked with the FEMA. I worked at two different businesses that built fire trucks for 33 years. And it looks like to me this is backwards. We should have been looking at the FEMA stuff well before we all got this letter. In my opinion, I don't care for the way the language of this Act 33 of 1951 reads, because the verbiage, and if you look at it, there's a lot of verbiage in there that the fire department is responsible for, but the same verbiage is not in there for the police department. I have the respect for the police department as well, but the verbiage that's in both of these don't match the same. Where the fire chief is responsible for the trucks and the equipment and everything that goes along with that, where the verbiage for the police department, there's nothing in there that says, what is the police chief responsible for? Is he responsible for the same equipment? Is he responsible for, keeping up on the day-to-days for the vehicles? It doesn't say that. And again, you're using something from 1951. Why did we have to go back to something that we shouldn't even be looking at when we should have been looking at maybe updating this and amending this act? Because this is ridiculous. This is totally ridiculous. And you're asking for this community to turn around and try to squeeze blood out of a turnip that we all can give more money that we just don't have. Gas prices have gone up, food prices have gone up. You all know this, but yet here we are sitting here talking about special assessment and trying to get more money out of this community. I'm not saying that none of these things are obtainable, but I do believe that you folks really need to spend some more time looking at this act, how it reads, because you guys can continue to keep this act going. It says it in there. The verbiage says that you guys can, and when you guys decide that this verbiage isn't going to change, You guys can just go ahead and say, okay, we're going to do it again next year. Well, when does it stop? Who decides amongst all of you, when does this stop for the community? I don't know, because it doesn't say. So I think that you guys need to take a look at this Act 33 of 1951 and really take some time and understand how it reads and update yourselves to today. Because what happened back in 1951 is not what's happening today. Back in 1951, things were more easy. Hard, but still easy. Today, it's hard and harder for all of us to try to come up with more money to give to all.
Time.
So, thank you.
Any other comments from the public?
Is Mark Messenger, 501 North Washington. We just moved to this community like 3 years ago. We literally moved here because the housing prices were good, the taxes were decent, everything else was good on that. Since the 3 years, my taxes have went up and went up. I'm paying about $1,500 more on my mortgage now. And that's just after the first year. The second year, they just said it's going to go up again. We just don't know, like I said, where's it going to stop? Where we can't afford to pay our mortgage or anything because it's so high that it's not worth it. That's all I want to say. Thank you.
I'm Marilyn Whitinger. I live at 890 Chad's Way. I grew up in Delta Township. My husband grew up here in Charlotte. He had a business here. We moved here 8 years ago, and we are so sorry that we did. Our taxes are unbelievably high compared to what we receive for those taxes. I have a city tree in my front yard that is very sick, and they wanted to cut it down, and I said, okay, well, when will it be replaced? Oh, there's no money for that. Our roads are a disaster. I think you people need to take a look at all the money that you're receiving, which is significant, and figure out a better way of spending it. I am against any increased money going out of my household for this city. Thank you.
Carol Payan, 6 Fen Court. I just want to say that I do want to oppose this assessment. The renaming of it just doesn't make sense to me. I just wanted to let you know I oppose.
I'm David Moon from 776 West Seminary. To start out with, since you can't give us any answers, I don't even know what kind of assessment we're talking about. And whether it's 50 a month, 50 a year, or whatever. And I gotta say a comment, I cannot believe how poor this turnout is for something of this value. People talk about how expensive it is in taxes and all that crap. But yet, you got 25 people here in the whole city limits. I'm really disappointed in that. But hey, I realize it takes an enormous amount of money with inflation, technology, keeping the equipment up. keeping everybody safe and proper. And what's going on in Charlotte is not unique. There's not enough money for roads anywhere. The city of Lansing struggles. It's all over. You just try to do the best you can and tighten the belt. But, I don't know what I'm saying here, but other than we got to work together as a team and do the best we can. Thank you.
Anyone else wish to speak about the public assessment?
I'm Craig Stiles, 721 Dollinger Drive. I moved here 2.5 years ago. I built a house here. I lived in DeWitt for 30 years. And I thought taxes in DeWitt were really expensive, but you got a lot for your money. You got world-class schools, roads, infrastructure, everything. I move here, I pay probably $3,000 more a year in taxes, and the roads are a joke. The schools are falling apart. And you all say that you weren't here when the pension fund took it. I wasn't here either. So why should I be accountable for what somebody else did in the past? It's not my fault. It's not your fault either. But I don't feel I should pay for it. And then this, the sewer and water base pay that we just got hit with like 6 months ago. The water and sewer hasn't changed at my house except for the cost. It used to be like the cheapest water and sewer. Now it's probably the most expensive in the area. And I am definitely opposed to this assessment. Thank you.
Al Rodriguez, 718 Dellinger. I also want to be on the record as opposing this assessment. If it's that important, put it up for a vote. Reason why there's not more people here tonight is because that letter that was sent out to us was sent late last week, not giving enough people the opportunity to be here tonight. That's shameful.
Anyone else to speak for the public hearing? I'll ask the clerk then, is there anyone online who would like to speak?
Jody Pruden.
Jody Pruden? Go ahead, Jody.
Hi, I would like to just go on record. I'm 309 East Shepherd, and I'm going to support this. I, in fact, have done my homework, and I do understand why we have this, what has taken place from the beginning. The way it was done in the beginning was not proper, but at least now, by rewording this, we know what this is going to go for. Anybody who has followed this at any point in time, every municipality got the same situation and had to get their retirement funds paid up. So everybody has been hit with this, and it's going over a time frame of, I believe it goes out to between a certain percent at 2030 and it has to be done by 2040. So every municipality is getting the same thing. This has got to be paid. They don't have a choice. Taking it out of the general fund and paying for the safety equipment out of the assessment is what should have been done to begin with. And calling it that was not incorrect or was not correct. So my personal opinion is that we have good fire and we have good police departments. They are the best around. And I want them to have good equipment, not only for my own benefit when I need it, but to keep them safe. And therefore, yes, I am retired, therefore on a quote unquote fixed income. And I am willing to pay the little bit more that this requires even though I know that it's not going to be paying any more than I've already been paying, because this is not new. We've already been paying this. So I don't understand where all of the misinformation and assuming is coming from, because this has been out there and has been present and talked about for a very long time. I want to support this. Thank you.
No one else online?
Nope.
Last call for anybody that's present? Okay, we'll close the public hearing. We'll move on to approval of the agenda as it's printed. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Moved and seconded, approved agenda. Any questions?
I'd like to move from the consent agenda, item F.
You want it on the business agenda, correct?
Yep.
It'll be D on the business agenda. Anyone else? So we will vote on the question now is that we approve the agenda with the item F from the consent agenda moved to item D on the business agenda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's done. Brings us to communication and committee reports, and you see that the clerk has added a stipulation on the communications mayor report. What I want to use that for is tonight will be, I know we have questions once in a while. Tonight will be Mr. Chin's questions at the last meeting, and that way we all get the same answer and we know what's going on. And Mr. Chin had a question at the last meeting about the McKenna agreement, and he was worried about the McKenna agreement that it said after 3 years, this contract will automatically renew for another year, and it could be another year, and it could be another year, then that would be against the charter. So that was changed to, now it says, before expiration of the initial 3-year term, this agreement may be renewed for additional year or years only upon the mutual written agreement of both parties. Everybody understand how that clears that up? So now it's going to take a vote of the council to renew that contract rather than automatically. It automatically is gone. Okay? And the other item that Mr. Chin brought up was the department heads' reports, which I think we got one, but actually digging into this, I found out that the manager, who was the department head's boss, told those two not to worry about the reports because they had too much going on. So if you want to bitch about the manager.
I'll follow up on that, yes, I think I'm used to having a little more structured reporting, usually on a quarterly basis. And clearly, everyone was fairly busy at that point in time, and I'd rather have them focus their efforts on the day-to-day operations that they need to, and then look toward putting a more thorough quarterly report for council related to the activities of the departments.
Okay, any questions?
Just a comment. The council prior, and I think early on, this council did put in, and in accordance to the charter, that we have monthly reports from the departments, because previously we would get rave alerts and direct emails from the manager of things happening that we should know about. And it's really embarrassing when a citizen comes up to you and asks a question and they know more about it than we do. And that's the only reason that I think that this council needs to be either improvement of communication to us, so that when things are happening that are going to bring the attention of the citizens, that, we tell them to call us or get with us, if they have any questions or concerns. And we should at least have some knowledge what's happening in the city. And that is why I think it's important that we do continue to receive, as we have in the past, at least monthly reports from the administration.
Okay, and I would agree with that, but if it's a rave alert or something like that, that does come from the manager. If you get something from police, fire, or a shooting, or whatever it is, a bad fire, that's the manager's responsibility to notify us as council members immediately. And he'll usually do that with an email, I would assume. Is that correct?
Typically, it'll be a text message. I can send a group text if it's something of significance, so.
Okay, so that's how that would be handled. It'd be like a rave alert, but it'd be a text message. But the department head reports that come mainly monthly, all I was doing was making the point that he gave them the okay to not to do it. So none of them were stiffing their nose at us or anything like that. They just didn't have time to do them, and so he said, don't worry about it. So it still remains important. If it's in the charter that we got to do monthly reports, is that what you said?
No, it's in the charter that the council can set, what kind of reporting,
So it's not in the charter to reply, but we've done it in the past as a request.
Right.
It's not a part of the charter then.
Yeah, the charter says that the council can request reports from the city manager and/or department heads at a time that the council sets, so.
Yeah, I just want to make sure we weren't in violation of the charter, but we're not. Did you have a question, Mr. Brummett?
Comment more than anything. I appreciate the fact the manager's doing his job as we set out to have him do his job. And if he chose to have the city department heads do their jobs, and that being not getting a report put together, if I was to be, on the record, confronted by a citizen, I would invite them, as I will, to talk to the manager, and in a timely manner, he will return your call, and if he doesn't, then let me know about it. But just the same, we're not here to manage the city. And so if I was approached by a citizen for a matter that occurred and they wanted to know more details, I would still ask them to speak with the city manager. In the event they don't get their response, then I will do what I have to involve myself. But we are not managers of the city. So therefore, if the city staff is not privy to do those reports, I can understand why. And so I appreciate the fact the manager's doing his job, and I think that I would hope he would continue to do what he's doing, just on the record.
Okay, any other comments? Well, I'm planning on having that on a monthly thing, so if we have questions, I'll do something and get the answers. If not, I will not even worry about it, so. Mr. Manager, your report.
Really don't have much to talk about other than trying to get the budget together, and that's been a challenge, but we'll talk about it here at the end of the meeting. But the other thing, I think, in a positive sense, laying the groundwork with some of the housing committee that I did meet with an experienced developer expressing interest with a couple of business owners in the downtown looking at potential development in the upper floors above some of our downtown businesses. So they're very experienced and they've been successful in the past, and talk about many of the things that I know that Mr. Scott and Shin have talked about with layering financing. So clearly there's somebody that has done this before and understands it. So more to come, but it came about late last week and excited to work with them.
Any questions for the manager? I don't think we have any staff here, so they're probably not going to report much. Council member committee reports. We'll start with Mr. Scott.
All right. Three of us councilmen went to CapCon in Lansing, and we all go there for different reasons. We go there to learn about what's happening. I go there to figure out how to grow our tax base. The way I look at my job here is that we're missing 2,000 people, and it's my job to figure out how to make Charlotte so inviting that they move here. That's how we increase our tax base. You can look at it another way. We lost 2,000 people since in the last 25 years. There are many reasons for that, some of them state, some of them national. But you know, the fact is things don't really get better until we get them back. And the way we do that is to be more interesting. So when I go to CapCon, I'm looking for placemaking. What makes us a more interesting place to live than St. John or DeWitt? What makes us better to be in existentially? We're having more fun with the kids than the places that are around us, because we all have the same needs. We're all taxed out of our minds, and we all have enormous housing pressures for the young people that we would love to sustain. So it's a competition. Whoever builds these houses fastest, whoever makes this town the coolest the fastest, wins. And as far as I can tell, we have about 10 years to do this, or we get into even worse financial crises. Property taxes are unfortunately the way we fund things in this country. It may not should be that way, but it simply is. So, you know, strategies are tough for how to get out of this, and the one that several of us are using, not just on here, but throughout the community, is housing. We haven't really addressed housing in this city in a substantial way in probably 50 years. That's how far behind we are. We still have many fires burning, and one of the things I tried to do at CapCon is figure out what cities are like us demographically, what cities are like us tax-wise, and what are they doing to make their places more inviting. One of the sad things, and you've heard this word a couple of times already tonight, the thing I got over and over from every representative I talked to was, why is your town so unfriendly? Why is your town so angry? Well, maybe taxes is one of those reasons, as far as I can tell, but that's no way to draw the 2,000 people we're missing. That's what I do know. And some towns are placemaking very well, and I'd like to introduce the concept to us so that we can beat them. Thank you.
I know Mr. Newman had a report also.
Last council meeting, we discussed Camp Francis, and Mayor, you had a question on how many days are being rented out there and that sort of thing. So the committee there had put together a graph dating back to 2016 through to 2025. 2016 was 106 days of rental. 2025 is showing about 69 days of rental. So staying right, pretty mediocre. It's been up and down throughout the years in between there. So they've got, they're doing very well on renting that out. They've done a lot of renovations to the cabin out there, and as we reported, they're looking at doing a walkway out from the cabin out to the fire pit. Different modifications out there to make it, a better place to visit and that sort of thing.
Good. That's exciting. It's like 5 or 6 days a month on an average.
Right. Yep.
And do they still use that sometimes in the winter?
They do. Yep. Nordic Fest rented it to have some of their night shift security stay in and that sort of thing to change out shifts. So it does get used in the colder months, and then Cub Scouts and the Girl Scouts and that sort of thing rented as well. So.
Good. Mr. Ken, did you have anything?
We did have a final meeting with the University of Michigan Sustainability Group. I think we had Assistant Fire Chief Daly. I always forget what his. Okay, yes. Was there. I think our city manager was involved with that, and so they presented their reports, which were very interesting findings, and hopefully we can move on some of these things in the near future. I, of course, was interested because of E-Tran and the financial situation that they're in right now, and the fact that, unfortunately, they need to renew their millage for transportation services. So that was pretty much it. The other areas, Vince, I think they submitted those reports to you.
Mr. Christensen.
Just kind of a quick overview from Planning Commission.
For the first time in a long time, our planning commission has every seat full. It was nice to see everyone full up here. We had, council liaison we had to sit out at a table the other night because every seat is full here, which is great. They did put their final blessing on as they're working on the zoning changes that came after the new master plan was completed. And they're kind of, it's getting pretty close where it's going to be headed our way. And there'll be some public hearing time, and it's quite a process that this has to go through for all these zoning changes, but they are working very diligently on it. The other thing that happened that night was another fireworks stand approval, and that was it. Thank you.
You don't have to have anything, but if you do.
Maybe just a couple things. So the Parks Board meeting still hasn't occurred because there hasn't been a meeting. However, Oak Park does have new sidewalks now, and I was very pleased to see that the contractor stayed within the confines of the old sidewalk, so they didn't disturb the roots of the trees that are irreplaceable. There was some extra concrete put down, and as far as I know, no bill for it. So some things got improved that appears to mean no added expense. We will see when the time comes, but either way, it wasn't approved, so therefore, they might have just voluntarily gave us new concrete in certain places. In addition to that, it'd be next Monday, will be Arbor Day celebration. It'll occur at 3 o'clock at the new nursery, the tree nursery that we're in place of putting. And the street tree program is continuing to move forward so that the trees that have been removed are going to be replaced. And I think that's a positive, because as we know, those are one of those things that'll live beyond our time. So that's pretty much all for the Parks Board.
Okay, thank you for the reports. Moving to the consent agenda, what we have left. First thing on the consent agenda is approval of claims and expenditures totaling $1,455,043.57. Obviously, that's a little bit higher than normal because it's a 3-week claims, which happens 4 times a year. Approval of emergency purchase ratification, Hopkins Mechanical, and it was for $35,000. If you have questions, the manager could answer that. Had to do with some kind of a sewer.
The methane boiler system.
So he approved that and then sent notice to all of us. Approval to participate in Eaton County Parks Community Grant Program and authorizing the submission of a grant application. And I think that one was with no match from the city. Approval to submit an application for an SS4A planning grant. That would be for planning things in the city area, sidewalks, things like that. That was with no grant match. And approval to submit an application to MDOT for the fiscal year 2026 state and local airport program, and there isn't a dollar amount on that, but usually we don't ever get charged more than 5%. So it would depend on what the grant total came to. So we could, and I'm sure the manager's budgeted a few dollars in the budget for the airport to pay for that match, so it's 95.5 grant. That's a pretty good grant. And we removed the other one. So do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda? So moved.
Second.
Is there a second? Moved and seconded. Is there any other discussion? If not, we'll take a roll call vote.
Fullerton?
Yes.
Brummett?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
Chin?
Yes.
Christensen?
Yes.
Newman?
Yes.
Rodriguez is absent.
Motion carries. To the business agenda. We now have a first reading of ordinance to amend zoning code and zoning map and to schedule a public hearing before the Planning Commission for May the 5th, 2026. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Is there discussion?
I just want to, on the record, make it known that this will be the time that those that have any want to weigh in on the zoning come out. You're being told well in advance that this is something you should attend so that you can speak your piece, because we can't be the voice for you, and the Planning Commission cannot always be the voice for you either. So this public hearing is your time to say how you feel about what is presented. So,
And just to be further clear with that, once the planning commission determines from their public hearing if they need to make changes or not, they will either send that back to the council saying that the planning commission recommends approval, or they'll say the commission recommends approval with these changes, or they may say the planning commission recommends that you do not pass it, you do not change it. So the council relies on the planning commission to give us an answer of what we as a council should do. That's just the procedure. So after that public hearing, there'll be a second reading, and it'll be either approved or disapproved, and that'll make the changes official.
I have a procedural question.
Go ahead.
So I read through this a couple times today, and I'm just kind of wondering, do we direct all our questions to the city manager?
You may do that, or you may direct them to the planning
I can, okay,
commission at the public hearing. I've seen that done before.
okay.
Or you can direct them to the guy that handles the planning for the city, either one. The manager's,
If you go send it to me, I'll forward it on
that's the best way to go, and he'll know where to send it.
Tiger, as well as the planning consultant who will be at the meeting in May.
I want to create the chain.
Yes.
Right, thank you.
Very good. All those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. That brings us to the Emergency Services and Vehicle Special Assessment Resolution 2026-18. What's the council's pleasure?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve the resolution. Any discussion? Mr. Christensen? Yes. And feel free, if you know some of these answers of the people that asked, whatever council member has them, feel free to answer those questions if you can.
Okay. First off, I just want to make special thanks to those that submitted letters, to those of you that came out tonight, for those that sent me text and emails and phone calls and stopped me on the street. And I don't know if I've had quite as many discussions about a particular subject as I have had with this one. It's a tough call, because I've always been a firm believer that if the citizens are going to be taxed, they should vote on that. On the flip side of that, we have a responsibility to provide quality public service, police, fire, to you. That is one of our main functions. And I find myself in a pinch. But the one thing I learned when I took this seat was I'm not here for my opinion, I'm here for yours. And I've listened hard, but I want to explain to people very quickly in just the council. The reason we're in this situation is 4 letters. It's called MERS. At one point, the city's retirement system was great, up to speed, good. Cities, municipalities made their minimum monthly payment just like you would on your credit card. And then all of a sudden, we got a phone call, and it said, hey, you now have to pay 60% of your balance right now, even though you were perfect in payments. Now you got to jump up here. And that left a huge hole. And that didn't come to us, it came to the previous administration. And this is how they dealt with it. Was through special assessment. But as it stands right now, if we do everything we are supposed to do up here, that won't be paid off until 2038. That's a long time when you're making payments on that. And there was some unfortunate things that happened years ago that we can't control now. All we can do is do the best we can to put it together, make sure our citizens are safe. And I just want folks to understand, we're not trying to take advantage of you. We're not trying to tax you out of town. But when any one of you have someone bust in your house or someone falls and breaks a leg, I would much rather bite the bullet and make sure I had someone there to take care of you than I would to say, sorry, that truck was in the shop. We'll be there when we can get there. we don't want that to ever come to this city. Our police and fire and emergency services are just, in my eyes, top notch. And I will tell you, this is it's a tough call for me, and I'm still undecided because I've heard from all sides. And one thing I've always done is I've always listened to those that I represent. So I just wanted to put that out there so there's an understanding why we're in this situation. Thank you.
Others? Mr. Newman?
A couple council meetings ago, I brought up the statement of, you know, what is our exit plan, you know, to get away from the assessments. Because we are going into our 5th year with, you know, these special assessments. I live here in town, obviously, I'm on the council. You know, and I've owned my house since 2004, so I've got a lot of, you know, time there. And, you know, just like the rest of us, I don't want any new taxes or continuing taxes. But the city manager said, you know, and I know he's done a lot of research, you know, on our city since we brought him on as interim city manager. And he point blank, you know, without even hesitating, said, we're 30% behind the, you know, state or national average of property taxes. And, you know, so that, you know, is a huge gap to make up. And, you know, so, you know, looking at the emergency services and, yes, we were supposed to, you know, back in 2021 when this was initially done to, you know, catch the mayor's, you know, retirement funds up and, you know, previous councils and administrations didn't do, you know, a real great job of doing that. And now we're playing catch up. You know, Mr. Adams, you brought up Public Act 1951, why we use that, you know, and that's because it's a state public act and it's done by the state of Michigan. It's not our public act, and it hasn't been revised since 1951 from my understanding. I read through a lot of it, trying to understand assessments and things of that nature to look at, you know, how does this improve each person's property values, and which is a lot of what the Public Act states. You know, providing protection for us on a police level, on a fire level, that is increasing our property values. We've got great response times. We've got, you know, great protection factors. You know, on the fire department, we've gone through a lot of different testing. Our ISO rating is one of the best in the county, you know, to provide fire protection and in a quick rate. So your homeowner's insurance isn't, you know, going up, you know, exponentially as well. You know, we're, I think, what, a 4 or, you know, 3 on a scale of 10, you know, and 10 being where we can't get to you within 20 minutes or so, you know, to put the fire out and being able to have enough water and that sort of thing. And I think, Mr. Kempf, you asked about, you know, fire protection out in the outlying townships and stuff. We've got the Rural Fire Association that the townships pay into the Rural Fire Association. The Rural Fire Association has an agreement with the city to provide fire protection in those outlying townships. So we do collect revenue, and it's based on the run volume and that sort of thing, you know, out, you know, and those outliers and so forth, you know. So, and they own, you know, and they contribute 50% of our equipment costs, you know. So they own 50% of our trucks that sit downstairs and at the West Side Station. They own 60 or 50% of, you know, all of the equipment that we buy with the funds. And, you know, so they've got a lot of stake, you know, into, you know, fire protection as well. If you read the Shopper's Guide this weekend, there's 2 other, you know, communities that are going through assessments as well. Bellevue is going through an assessment. Brookfield Township is going through an assessment for the same reason, fire and emergency services. So, you know, it was said earlier, you know, there, I think Jody said it, you know, that, you know, we're all hit by this. You know, no matter where you move from or move to, you're gonna have increased taxes, you know, and that sort of thing. You're, you know, you're capped, and when you buy a new place, you know, all of a sudden, you know, if I sold my house and the new owner wham, they get 24 or 26 years worth of tax increases, you know, like right now, just what I did when I bought it from the original owner that owned it since 1971, and I bought it in 2004. So they uncapped on me, and I was looking at the, you know, paper and, you know, hey, you know, $1,400 in tax is great. And then I got my first tax bill and it was over $2,000. And I was like, oh my gosh, what happened, you know? And, you know, so I think a lot of these, you know, things, it's a tough pill to swallow. My mom is, you know, out there on fixed income. There's one person here that's taking care of her mom. I get it, you know, the taxes keep going up, the Social Security went up, but the Medicare went up, and you got like a $25 raise from last year. You know, so, you know, it's out there, and I think we've got a good plan, you know, to move forward and get us, you know, covered in this, you know, situation that, you know, the city has gotten itself into over the last 20 years. And so.
Okay. Come over here.
Just want to address a couple things. Since I've been sitting here, the savings of money, I believe we're down 2 police officers and 1 police car in the last, as a result of the last time we had this discussion. So we have made cuts. Those are just the first ones that come to mind. In addition to that, we just lost a department head because we don't have anything like a human resources department. And I'm going to be fighting like hell to replace a department head for the exact same reasons we're discussing. We are in a pinch. We still have active fires. We absolutely need this to function as a city, period. Otherwise, we just slowly become Sunfield. Thank you.
Anything, Mr. Chin?
Yeah, a couple things. The original assessment was done in 2021, as the first year that it hit, and that council was facing some major decisions. None of us were on the council when that occurred. But it's not 1 year. It was years of neglect and pulling money out of the retirement to meet budget. And then out of nowhere, the state issued a mandate that said you need to be at 60% of funding for your retirement and health systems for retirees. The city has done some things in terms of changing their pension program in order to eventually get rid of the amount of money, and that can only occur as the people with the old pension system pass away. And that's because, you know, they're guaranteed by the Constitution of the state of Michigan those benefits, retiree benefits. One thing, the ambulance service with the Big M, remember that the University of Michigan did purchase Sparrow hospital system and all that goes along with that. Upon the change of ownership, we had a contract with Sparrow to provide services at half of what it's now costing us. U of M came in, purchased Sparrow ambulance services. Here's a contract, and it was double the amount that we had been previously paid. I asked the fire department to look at, is there a way that we can take over, because the huge amount of money that they wanted. And they are servicing our communities because of the fact that our fire department does not have firefighters that are qualified to transport, nor do we have the vehicles to transport. Because again, the state mandates a certain vehicle, certain things on it, very expensive, and to move that service to the fire department would mean even more money coming out of our pockets than what we're seeing there. In regards to the public act that we are following, keep in mind that this was back in, it's 1950, but it has been amended. I don't know how many times, but the correct people to go after of this public act, because we cannot do anything, is to go visit your state representatives, your state senator, your state representatives, and say, hey, we don't like this. We want it changed, and see what happens at that level. We certainly, and I certainly have brought this up to our state rep and our state senator, the fact that this act is really not very friendly to our taxpayers. But again, they weren't in office in the 50s when this bill was passed, and I'm not sure who was at the time, but certainly want to push you to that. Now, in terms of the comment on the water rates, again, the rates, I voted against the rates going up twice already, but I'm one vote. And again, keep in mind that there's 7 of us on council right now. In November, 5 of the seats are up for re-election. And so you have an opportunity in November to voice again by voting and making sure you get engaged. Certainly, we have budget coming up, and all of us will be looking at anywhere and everywhere that we can cut. But one of the things I've asked the city manager is to tell me of the budget, what are fixed costs that you have to pay, whether it be bond, whether it be personnel, et cetera. There are certain things that they're there every year. We have to pay for all the street lights, which I asked for an investigation as to whether or not there was a way to reduce those costs. And it came back, and there was very little savings that we could come up with by changing the way we have the lighting. So again, we're not ignoring issues to try to find ways to reduce our costs. And as one council person indicated, the only way that I'm on the housing committee, and recognize that the only way that we can reduce the overall cost to our current taxpayers is to have more housing units and more industry come into town. And we're working hard. I mean, we've spent, you see us up here for a couple hours, but we have spent countless of hours taking developers around town, showing them possible locations. We do have 2 new apartment units going in, and renters do pay property tax through their rents to the owners of those buildings that have to pay property taxes for those apartment places and other units. And we're doing everything that we can to try to get, and based on our input, bringing back building services, which we had no money coming into the city for those inspections. Well, the way we're working it, we're going to get a percentage of money back to actually the city coffers for those building permits that are issued once we get everything in place for that. So again, I feel your pain. I'm a retired person. I got my Social Security increase, and it went to pay for the increase in Medicaid. So I think I netted maybe $5 of the amount that I get with Social Security. And I own a home here in Charlotte, and I see the taxes. But one of the things that I would ask you to do is take a look at how much dollars are actual city taxes, because we're the bad guys, because we collect everyone else's taxes, whether it's the millages that you voted on and approved for schools, the county taxes, all those taxes are paid to us. But you know what? We have to cut checks back to the people that actually are collecting those taxes. Not all that money that you see you're paying in a single check for taxes stays with the city. They're all distributed back to the rightful place. And take a look at how many of them are county, how many of them are schools, how many of them are millages that you actually voted to approve before they could assess those, especially for education. So that's something that I would ask you to do. Thank you.
Mr. Brum, do you have any comments?
Oh, a couple. I appreciate the fact that everyone who came out, being one of the youngest individuals sitting in front of you, and probably not able to relate to fixed incomes in that regard, but yet at the same time being someone who came from outside of the city, where we had our own well, and if the water quality wasn't up to par, that's on you. You're drinking crappy water, it's on you. Here, our water has a standard, so therefore, that is why it is the revenue generator for us to use to be able to spend on the things we need. But unless we increase cost of something that is not a tax, there's no additional money. In addition to that, many people before us, which I think is outstanding, although I am saddened that there isn't more, I love it when it's standing room only, have come from a community with a larger tax base, a larger population base, so therefore the taxes would inherently be lower, most likely, although who knows, because we don't dictate that. But if you live in an area where there's larger quantities of tax collected, say Delta Township, then you would have a different kind of tax money to work with and lower taxable value to your house if you've been there long term. But when you move to a place where you do get hit with that tax base increase, then unfortunately, yes, you would pay an increase in tax. When it comes down to the streets and things like that, we've seen improvements. We can just keep kicking the can and let the roads fall apart more and not be able to do that. But when it comes back to what we're actually talking about here, I stated last time we met that I want to see that all properties within the city are taxed on this, no matter whether it's a rental property, which is paid through their rent collected by the tax base as a landlord. But in addition to that, all of the manufacturers, all of the businesses that are housed in the city, because none of them should be exempted from that, and that's why I brought it up on the record, that is where the taxes are collected from the McDonald's and the Walmart and all the other manufacturers within the city, because it can't be shoulder a burden on you as the citizens who live here, who work wherever you choose to work, but in addition to that, pay the tax to that aspect. And I appreciate the fact, Mr. Chen pointing out that, yes, the city is collecting your tax and distributing it into different manners. Now, when we look at this number, and I hope that everyone has actually been able to see it and that there wasn't any misinformation or that you only received what you saw in the county journal, which is required, and that's why it was there, and only 2 weeks ago, well, again, come out every time we have a meeting on the second and fourth Monday of every month. Make yourself present. You'll know more stuff than anyone else who reads the county journal, where we're required to put out that information. But if you look at the total expenditures on the form that was presented, we just approved on the consent agenda the exact, almost to a T, amount of money to spend in 3 weeks to make the city what it is today. That's the same amount of money that puts on this paper, $1,260,248.70. Well, the one thing that we don't have here in this community that is maybe a downfall, we don't have multiple $1-million homes here. If we had multiple $1-million homes, all of a sudden that dollar amount would be such less because the tax base for those large dollar homes. We have communities within here that generate that, but at the same time, we really need those homes that bring the tax base so that way we can turn around and have less tax to each one of us. But I think there was still the misconception that we were going to add another tax, that we're approving you to be taxed more than you were before. But the truth of the matter is it's just the same tax that is necessary in order to continue what we've been doing with a new name. And that was clear in the last meeting that we had 2 weeks ago. And I'm glad. I wish that all of you would have been here then too, because we did have conversation. We want to make sure that there's just a renaming so that the fire department isn't getting the flack, and then we're not catching the flack for trying to make sure that you have the services that you have. Because in those certain areas that are brought up before us at the podium, I've never lived in Delta Township. And I really have no desire to, not at all. Now, whether their fire response time is equivalent to ours, again, I hope that if I go to Horrocks, I don't end up needing a fire department. But I do know it's right there. I usually take note of how far away some of those services are. And if I go to, say, Vermontville, I know that I'm not near their own police department because they don't have one. So if I go there and think that I'm going to be taken, someone's going to rob me, I know that I only have Eaton County or the Nashville Police Department to come over to me. So I think we have so many things to be pleased about having the services right here, and having the county seat and having the police department for the Eaton County Sheriff Department seated here. But, it's tough, I'm sure. And when we talk dollars and cents, some people say, yes, it's a good value, and other people say it's another money that I've got to give up. We all have to. Yes, sure, we all have the opportunity to move out, but it's not going to make the community any larger or any better if we move out. So if you have ideas on how to fix this in a positive way, I'm more than all open to those conversations, as I believe the city manager is too. If you have a fix, that's great. If you have a problem, we have a problem. We know we have a problem. That's why we're doing this. So that's my thoughts on the matter, is that I hope that no one here thinks that just voting the council out is going to fix it, because here's a new council trying to fix the problems from a previous council, and if you decide to change all the seats in November, you're just going to create yourself another issue. Let's work together, as it was discussed earlier, to fix the issues and try to make this so that it doesn't have to happen for the length of time we're currently thinking we need to. There may be a solution to this, but currently we've got to deal with this because we can't talk about budget if we don't have this particular line item in place. So I hope that, at least I feel that I'm trying to be as open to you, that I don't want this any more than you do, but I don't want what the repercussions of not doing something is. And this is the something that's helping us to get where we are today from where we were. That's all I've got.
Thank you, council. There's a lot of those, I think, at least you answered the questions, maybe not the way that people wanted them, but at least we had a chance to address some of those. I had a couple that I know that the lady left that talked about her tree in her front yard and there was no replacement, but Mr. Rummett has been working with that's what we've created in the last year and a half, is the city now has a tree garden. Is that what you call it?
Tree nursery. Yep.
Tree nursery.
You can have a tree.
The city has started, and we'll be producing at least 50 trees a year that are going to be planted in the front yards of people's houses in the city, free of charge. Now, that's a plus. I think that's a grand idea. I got to take a little credit for it. I helped start it.
Yeah.
But anyway, there's a lot of, and I like to, Mr. Bracci addressed it, talked about the smoke and mirrors, and that is not really what was anticipated, because when we changed the assessment in the past was 85% of the fire budget. That's it. Okay, what part of it? What part of that fire budget are you paying for? You're paying for people, you're paying for whatever. Nobody knew. And nobody, including people that work for the city, could answer the question. And I said the last time this came around, I won't be voting for anything that says that, fire department on it, that just says fire. So that's where this came from. Now you know what the special assessment's going to be spent on. And to me, I had to convince my own wife that this is a better way than the other, and that was difficult until she read. But once she read the thing, then it was like, oh, that makes some sense. But when it said 85% of the budget, that was just ludicrous. Never should have been done when they did it before that way. Whether we're going to be able to get rid of it in a certain amount of time, I don't know. I believe in what our seasoned manager of 40 years of experience said the other day, is that it doesn't look good that we can get rid of it right away because, I mean, we can. Obviously, we can. We could just say, okay, we're going to cut 3 police, 3 fire, 3 DPW. That'll save us $1 million. We just won't have them. And then when the person that falls down at Edmond Apartments at 15 below zero, wind chill, and has to lay there for 20 or 30 minutes, because if we don't fund our ambulance service, that'll be coming from 30 minutes away, because it'll be a private person running that. I don't know if that's the kind of service we want to provide. I don't want to provide that kind of service. And I've always said, and the townships have heard me say this, they're all moving the same way. If the people want the services, they're going to have to pay the bill. That's all there is to it. There's no other way around it unless you want to just cut and don't have the services. So if you want to leave the guy laying out there, so be it. That's the kind of reputation we would have in this town. So I own 4 properties in town. You think I want to spend over $1,200 for a special assessment? Nope. But I don't have any choice if I want to continue, living here and thinking that the city's functioning good. So that's my few comments. Did you have something else?
Forgot one thing. Just because of the amount of the special assessment, that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be spent. Let's say next year we spend $800,000 and there's still $300,000 sitting there. The following year, that assessment's going to adjust so it's less, correct?
Yes.
Yep, okay. Want to make sure I was clear too.
If it's not used, yeah.
Yep.
That's why we were keeping track, and anything they pay for will be printed out in that.
Doesn't say that on this paper. Sorry.
Any other questions that you want to try to answer? And we'll take a roll call vote then.
Fullerton,
Yes.
Shin,
Yes.
Newman,
Yes.
Christensen,
No.
Yes.
Brummett,
Yes.
and Rodriguez is absent.
Okay. So the manager will move on to the next step of
I'm
it.
just going to,
Right?
pardon?
You'll move on to the next step. This is the only thing
Yes,
that we
the
have to do?
I'm sorry, Mayor. The next step in the process is, and what happened with this resolution is to direct the treasurer to prepare an assessment roll that will be presented to the city council probably at the next meeting. And at that point, you can review it and decide whether you want to move it toward a final public hearing regarding the assessment roll itself.
Okay. So now we'll move to a city manager's proposed budget. Is that next?
Yeah, let me hand out something here, and this has been an adventure and continues on my account to still be an adventure. Yeah, just keep handing them down. There's just one sheet.
Okay.
I typically when I present a budget to a city council, you're going to get a transmittal letter, some graphs and charts, line item detail, and I had trouble printing the line item detail, but I'll go over at a high level of review with the council. By charter, manager has to present a proposed budget, first meeting in April. Certainly the challenges with the IT systems that we have, a turnover, and there's challenges with our internal controls that need to be addressed going forward. The budget was built with consideration with the city council, that feedback that we had a little over 2 months ago, and then recognition of the legacy cost. The highlights of the budget is that you're looking at a general fund budget of $8.2 million, all funds included, a little over $17 million in total. The major operating funds with surplus and acceptable reserves are the general fund, $275,000, local streets $295,000, water and sewer $740,000. Before there's a lot of excitement about it, I'll walk through when we actually have our work sessions in the general fund surplus is historically the last few years addressing your deficiencies with the pension system, you've provided a supplemental $150,000. That's not in here, but it's a priority discussion that you have to have. You have a 50-plus-year-old building of which is still functioning, kind of functioning with an HVAC system that is not as reliable, and tonight being evidence with being uncomfortable. But you're looking at a $1.4 million cost there. You've got an elevator that needs to be upgraded, other improvements. Historically, what I've done is look at, and again, later on, I'll tell you to start considering some debt to address these items. But for a 20-year bond issue amortized over a 20-year period, 5% interest, you're looking at about $75,000 per year per $1 million. So right off the bat, you've probably got close to $2 million worth of things you need to contemplate. $150,000 in debt, not in there. So there's challenges that you have just looking through the general fund. Major local streets, surplus of $295. It does incorporate some projects, not a lot, but it's kind of a functional operating budget. Water and sewer, $740,000. I talk a little bit later on, not recommending an increase at this time until we get the water rate study updated as well. Limited capital, but there's still plenty of needs. The budget's got some restructuring of accounts and funds for a little more transparency and understanding of what they are. No additional positions added, but plenty of needs in certain areas in particular. Implementation of the new building department budget, which does come with a position with it, but that is paid for based on the arrangement with McKenna for providing funding back to the city for this position. Implementation of emergency services and vehicle SAD, and additional funding for the position related to the community development director position, which is currently vacant, bringing some money in from a couple of our economic development fund, brownfield fund, that can be utilized toward enhancing the wages. But again, this is a discussion with council related to how far you want to carry that. Doing a property tax, water sewer rates, general operating slightly lower, proposed at 14 mils, rollback from Headley. Debt millage lower just because taxable value growth pretty constant. And in fact, one of the things we'll talk about is kind of a scale back that the debt on the West Fire Station should be paid off here within the next 4 years. You've got a fund balance, and so you can probably start utilizing some of that to reduce the millage that you have. But we're talking, maybe going from 0.65 mils, maybe down to 0.6 mils, 5/100ths, but at least something to have a plan in place. Recycling, leaf collection, a little bit higher, but we can reduce it. Our Public Works Director had some ideas that she'd like to implement related to both of those. As I said, water and sewer rates, no changes proposed at this time. As I went through it, just looking at the current budget and what experience we've had, we ended up increasing it about $400,000, but we do have the rate analysis that'll incorporate future projects into it. And I'll talk more about the projects. The emergency vehicle services, the SAD, is no change from the current levy of 3.95 mils. It's still, with the fire one that you have, the budget's built on no change in the overall millage. We have a decrease in state revenue sharing related to personal property tax reimbursement. And it came up about, when I was looking through it, is $125,000, and there is no reason for it. I don't know how, this goes back to the turnover issue. There's just been too much turnover, and I can tell you when it happened, it was in October of '24. All of a sudden, for some reason, we got less money, and it was reflected in the 24-25 budget, or in the actuals in this current year budget. And now that we know what happened, we got to figure out why it happened, because there's no reason. And that $125,000 is phenomenally important to ongoing operations. And so I just want to bring that to your attention, but it is a challenge with the level of turnover, that just things get missed and all of a sudden nobody's there to ask the question, how did this happen? So we'll follow up on it. I'm just telling you, it's just, and then minimal capital projects budgeted, but there's more room for discussion. Some of the recommendations that I had in here is, and it goes to what Mr. Chin has talked about, is having a capital improvements program. One of the things I'm recommending, and again, part of it, there's a lot of information each of the departments have. You just got to assemble it into a workable document. The thing with it's just, and again, it is a requirement under the Michigan Planning Act that the Planning Commission provide a capital improvements program. So I'm recommending that we retain a consultant to help organize it, have this as a fall activity, for the Planning Commission, but it would include water, sewer, roads, parks, sidewalks, but also vehicles and heavy equipment as well, so that you incorporate everything, buildings, into a well-thought-out plan going forward. It addresses the concern that the council has for infrastructure, but it puts it into a system that will be, reviewed by the Planning Commission and submitted to council and available for next year's budget process, so that you at least have a good plan going forward. And again, as I said, be open to considering issuing some debt. The needs for the infrastructure, this building alone, let alone what you have with water and sewer, is pretty substantial. And that may come out of the rate study as well as the capital improvement planning process. Economic development funding, again, some contributions toward the community development position. But I also think, how do you bring all of this together? You're talking about housing, industry, commercial downtown area, as well as other residential areas, and how do you coalesce this into an overall strategy? You've got a great deal of interest and a great deal of momentum, actually, and successes that are starting to take root. But I think going forward, if you have something where there is a plan, I think the 425 agreement that was talked about back a couple of months ago as part of council goals fits into that whole strategy. The Neighborhood Tax Increment Finance Authority, that's an element of it. So it's just a matter, I think, of putting together a strategy that can be executed and everybody knows and understands what it is. And then one of the things you have to do is make a commitment to upgrade our IT. We really are deficient in that area. We probably have certainly in some areas, cybersecurity risks that are unacceptable. We just got to get updated in that area, and it's going to be substantial. I'm looking at, meeting with department heads to go back and look at updating or reviewing our proposals for consultants and maintain our systems, but we got to list everything that we have, all the different software packages. Some of them, certainly with the police, have some security aspects to it as well. So, and then the other thing with it is the HR position. I'm thinking more and more in our case, as small as we are, there is some consulting services that can help. I've talked with the clerk about utilizing some of that, but they can come in, review policies, review our benefits, that how can we provide that, onboarding for new employees. If there's a situation that requires an investigation of an action of an employee, they're there and available to provide that professionally for us. So we'll talk more about it, but I think it's really critical that we take a look at it. So, and finally, just a couple, I'd like to get some thoughts about meetings when you would like to. Keep in mind, I'm kind of hoping, when I was talking with the search consultant, I told him, I says, give me your dates. I want to work around your schedule so I can get it to council. I'm still waiting to hear back from him, but you have a lot of work coming up the next couple of months. But I do think, go through that. But there are some decisions that you'll have to make related to some of these things. So sorry that I didn't have the full package that I'm used to presenting, but you'll get it here probably later this week. So hopefully once I get the printing of the line item detail for the various fund budgets and departments. So, thank you.
Any questions for the manager?
So are we still following this schedule?
Yes. We're up to where, the manager submits the proposed budget. This is what you get for tonight, far less than I would have hoped. but you will get more detail. But clearly, we have to follow through on the adoption by, I believe it's June 9th. That would provide enough time for the treasurer to put together the billing for the July 1st tax bills.
So when do you think we'll have the detailed budget ready to present?
I'm probably hoping the end of the week I will
Okay.
have something for you. But I've got to get that printed out, and then I'll put together the charts and graphs and the transmittal letter that typically goes with it. The other thing that's driving this is I would like it out there and available for the candidates that are considering the manager position to have an understanding of where we're at this point in time. and Why.
Well, thank you, Mr. Manager. I'm not sure I think that's all great news. We have a budget to worry about, a city manager to hire. Okay. Yeah.
It is a lot there. It is a busy period of time.
There's more difficult things out there somewhere.
Okay. All right, that moves us to approval of sole source purchase pavement rejuvenation services. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion, that'd be Mr. Chin. Ask that to be moved.
I was wondering, the city manager, I understand that the company that you're proposing is the sole source for this particular type of repair. But my question is, were other systems, other things looked at, or was this the only one that was actually investigated and reviewed? Because if so, then the argument for sole source is kind of not hitting my review.
Fair enough. The one thing with this, and again, this Reclamite is a new application to me even, in the sense that, most of the time I'm used to seeing where you do some crack sealing and a topical overlay, maybe a slurry seal, if you will, to try and extend the life of the payment. This one is a little different in that it, soon after you've done some work, you do an application within the first year roughly to try and get the, where it'll seep actually into the asphalt itself and create a bind in there so that the bitumen doesn't oxidize as quickly as it normally does, which is really what starts breaking up the pavement. So it's a new application, and clearly in this case, as is indicated in the report from the Public Works Director, that this is the sole source, this is the sole licensed provider for this. But it is a new technology, and again, most of it I'm used to just a topical application of crack sealing and then maybe like a slurry seal or microsurfacing is what it's referred to by engineers.
Do we know any other cities that have used this application, and how to come out? I mean,
Well, in this case here, that would be probably a question better answered by the Public Works Director, but it clearly I know that she's attends these training sessions, professional development, and this is an application that came out of it. But it's something, it's a new technology that I was not familiar with until she brought it to me.
I have a question. When I read through this the first time, and you seem to, since she's not here, you're the only one to ask this question to, is this a test? Like, are we testing out a new substance, or does she believe in this based on something she's witnessed?
I think there's sufficient applications for her to have the confidence to go forward with this. This isn't, as you can see, there's a number of other states where this is.
Right, I was trying to figure out if we were experimenting with this to figure out if it's going to work better than what we were already doing, and that's.
Oh, you mean internally?
Yeah, if
Oh,
we're
okay.
actually experimenting here, if we're, to see if it's better. Yeah.
Mr. Christensen.
I know I kicked some tires on this. I was interested too, and I had actually had a chance to talk with Stephanie a little bit about it. But typically on the seal, That's just a topical. It just fills it in, and but the minute it starts peeling or gets cracks in it, moisture gets down under things, and then in our winter, that's when we start buckling up in all the potholes. That doesn't penetrate the asphalt. Reclamite penetrates it, so it isn't something that's gonna peel off. It's in there, and some of the numbers, 25 to 30% longer life. City of Pontiac uses it. City of Brighton does it annually. Brighton has had great success with it. They says it's really been a worthwhile investment. So, just some food for thought.
Other comments? Mr. Rummett?
I think being that it was pulled out of the consent agenda, I believe that this is the opportunity to speak that I haven't seen anything really negative or anything negative from our DPW director. So when we may be potentially viewed as a guinea pig in this particular sense, we kind of know what we do and have done for a while. We know what doesn't work, although it's the norm. We know that we're not always on the forefront of new things that come about. And I think that this, based on what was presented to us, it looks like the Keystone approach to most of the county roads on a little different level with some material that's penetrating the asphalt. And I guess, just again, speaking to all of you, people out there rejuvenating shingles now. Used to be you just peel your roof off and put a new one on. If you can save the roof or save the road instead of going back and doing it again, we clearly don't have the resources, the time, or the dollars to continue rebuilding roads that we've decided to go about the years and years of the old practice. So maybe we could actually make a mark here, and we could be known for the city who decided to go out on a limb here and give a new shot at some new product and save the roads that we've constructed. So I believe that this is good to prove. I respect the fact that it was pulled out of the consent agenda. I'm not really that big of an opposition to some of these things when our department heads make good decisions and questioning everything that they do. It's $100,000. Again, we're talking about a 10% of what we just approved on a 3-week basis. Dollars and cents, we can figure out every pop can and every nickel and dime that's left behind, or we can actually continue to move to be the place that people want to come to because our roads are improved and continue to stay in good repair. So I think that that's a great opportunity to make sure that we continue to back our department heads on what we want to see different than what we've always done. So thank you.
Any other comments? I guess probably the only thing we probably should remember is that I think Mr. Chin brought this up because of the sole source provision in our ordinance. That we have to, as a council, buy into that if we don't want to bid it out. And I was comfortable after I read it that there's nobody else to bid on it. And actually, I agree with Mr. Rummett that maybe it's time to try something else and then see how it works. And I would assume, Mr. Manager, this would be funded through major streets or
Both major and local.
both major and local streets which have their own funding.
Yes.
So we do have the money for it. So something's got to come out of the general fund.
I do have one more question, if you
Go
don't mind,
ahead.
though. I really do believe strongly in accountability, though, and I don't know if everyone's aware, but, so we go ahead and we do this. I wholeheartedly think that if for some reason we don't see the longevity that we ought to, then there should be some repercussions. And if we're contracting with these people, then it needs to read that way, that if it doesn't hold up, then we want some of our money back. Yeah, if they don't do what they're supposed to do, and it's sole source, as Mr. Chin pointed out, then give us back some of it, because we aren't that other city that did what they did with their particular streets and all that. But we want to be people who our streets continue to stay in good repair.
If you want to do that, you want to make an amendment to this motion? We
If it
approve
doesn't
with-
exist already, yes.
It doesn't exist that I know of. I didn't read it in there.
I'd have to look to see what kind of warranty they provide. That's usually where it would be covered, so.
That's up to you if you want to make an amendment, that we approve it. Right now, the motion is to approve it. It's a sole source purchase.
Understood.
If you want to make an amendment that says, with the stipulation that the warranty is
That we hold accountable those that are actually working for us to their
You got to
warranty.
give somebody the authority to do it. The DPW director is authorized to determine if it holds up to the warranty.
And that would be my desire, is that we would hold accountable the company to whatever their warranty is on this material, with the DPW director being the enforcer of that.
Is there a second to it?
Second.
Madam Clerk, are you clear on the amendment?
I,
Any discussion on just the amendment?
Oh, I'll wait till we get back to the other.
The amendment is to make sure that somebody oversees this. No other discussion on that? All in favor of the amendment, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So now we're back to the main motion to approve the sole source purchase of this road with the amendment we just put on. Mr. Christensen.
I just took a moment, and the cities I had looked at and mentioned, I went back and just pulled this up. Brighton, Pontiac, they all use Pavement Technologies, the same company. It's, they are the standard. I can't find any other name associated with this product except Pavement Technologies. So that's certainly accurate.
Any other discussion on the motion as amended?
I could
Go ahead.
explain that it is proprietary, so they have to use this technology. There's only, until somebody else invents something very close to it.
Okay, we'll proceed to vote. Roll call vote, please.
Fullerton,
Yes.
Brummett,
Yes.
Christensen,
Yes.
Yes.
Newman,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Rodriguez is absent.
Motion carries. Is there anybody in the public that would like to have public comment again? You're welcome to come to the podium. Just give us your name and talk about anything you want to.
948 Chad's Way again. Yeah, Mr. Chin's correct. Get a hold of your state rep. Get a hold of your state senator. Let's change that act. It was originally intended for towns, not cities. Cities has co-opted it to use it. So what it's become is an unfunded or an unvoted millage. The only way you're gonna change is go to the city, go to the state. And I already know who I'm talking to tomorrow. So I've got some other things that I've got changed. Now we can put clotheslines in subdivisions. I'll go after this next. All right, that's my first thing. Second, the city manager mentioned that we send 150,000 supplemental into MERS every year. Is that all we send in? We've been taking in 1.3 million supplemental. That's what that fund was for. He said 150,000 supplemental. Is that above and beyond the 1.3 million? I don't know. It just sounds, that makes this whole thing sound even worse, guys. You want to add debt? We had 26 people here. Not one of them was in favor of this. You had one person call up on the phone. That was it. Nobody was in favor of it that I heard. You want to add debt? It looks like this special assessment is a lot like the lottery. They passed the lottery to fund schools, but the state didn't take the money they used to give the schools and continue to give them that plus the lottery. They just gave them the lottery, took the other money and spent it somewhere else. And it looks like that's what this is. And if this isn't going away until 2038, there's something going on. Because at 1.3 million, 1.2 million a year, you ought to be able to catch that up a lot quicker than that. Something's not right. It's not, the numbers aren't adding up.
Eric, can I respond to that one part?
Yes.
I just want to make clear that what happens with the pension obligations is we get an actuarial report from MERS, Municipal Employee Retirement System. The city kicks in almost $1.2 million a year. A good portion of that is what's referred to as actuarially unfunded liabilities, far more than what the actual normal cost is for ongoing benefits for existing employees. The supplement is above and beyond what they're already obligated to provide to MERS in order to close that gap as soon as possible. They share the same thing and frustration that I think everyone has, is they want to get this as to the end line as quick as possible because this is the consequence of it. But it's almost $1.2 million a year that they're paying toward MERS for the pension obligation, of which most of it is related to past commitments that were made. So, thank you, Mayor.
Thanks for clearing it up. Anybody else with public comment?
John Lalp, 114 East Lovett. Actually, I'm talking now with my DDA chair hat on. There's always been conversation. Mr. Scott, I read your report and I thought it was interesting based upon your CapCon experience. I've always found that it's easy to get a reputation, but it's really hard to change one. And I'd be curious, the people that you were talking to, where they or how they base their opinions. Were they playing a telephone game? Was it somebody told them who told them who told them? You never know what the source is. So one of the things that the DDA is doing in conjunction with a few other groups, including Charlotte Rising, the school districts involved, I believe the Congregational Church is in there. I think there's one other group. We have started a steering committee, and it is to retain a marketing company to help promote the city of Charlotte. We have a lot of festivals. Last count was 27, 28 different festivals. And we're really trying to push that out to not only the city of Charlotte, but to the region. Let's get more people here. You have different things that can appeal to a lot of different people. And when they come, the hope is that as we're improving things, they'll say, hey, maybe this place might be better than where I am. So it's in the early stages of that right now, so we are hard at work, and it'd be interesting to see a few more people at our DDA meetings. They are the third Tuesday of every month at 6:30 right here in this chamber. Thank you.
I guess I just want to state that I know it's not a new assessment. It's a renaming of the assessment. And I should have been more clear when I come up here the first time that I wanted to know when the possible payoff was, but you guys answered that. So thank you.
Back to what you guys just voted on as far as this road treatment. Oh, Kyle Adams, 404 4th Street.
Thank you.
Is the company that you're hiring, are they the ones that do the application, or is that stuff that is brought into the city and the DPW applies this, or how does this work?
It'll be a vendor that comes in that is licensed to provide this application on the streets themselves.
So they're the ones that are coming in with their own equipment?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay.
Much like other applications for street maintenance takes place.
Okay, so after this is applied to the streets, is there something that the DPW have to do to maintain this in spot locations, or do you have them come in? Is it something it can apply winter, spring, summer, fall, or is there a particular?
I think usually they want to apply in the fall, is my recollection with it. It extends the life of it, but it will still involve in the future. Over time, you'll probably see some cracks in the crack sealing application. It's just further down the road, but it does extend the life of the pavement that was just put down. So
Okay.
it says like 20-25% longer.
So even though there are older streets, they're not going to be able to apply that until new asphalt has been applied?
That's literally when the best time to do is the application is soon, within a year, 2 year after new asphalt goes down.
And what is the warranty from
I don't
these
know.
folks?
It's I've got to look and see. I can't tell you off the top of my head.
Okay, thank you.
Any other public comment? Anybody online?
Jody is.
Jody, you're on.
Okay, thank you very much. I just wanted to say, I want to say thank you again to our police and fire. I want to say thank you to what the city council is doing. They're working together. This hasn't always happened. They're giving of their time. They aren't highly paid, that's for sure. And I am thankful for that. I know that there are a lot of people in the outside of the city limits who have very little or no coverage for some of the stuff that we have. So I just want to remind everybody that we have it pretty darn good. And the county had requested some operating millage and some public safety millage. And when that went down, they had to cut everything that wasn't mandated. And everybody is very unhappy about that. So unless we want to be in the same situation, then, and we are pretty much having mandated stuff covered only. It's not like we're doing anything frivolous that I can see, or I'd say something. But that is something that we need to make sure that we pay attention to. In addition to that, our tax, what we pay for our taxes, it does increase. But the millage that has gone through, that you pay to the city or the county or to the townships, those have not necessarily increased. What increased was the value of our homes. And therefore, the property tax is based on the value of your property. And if your property goes down in value, then your taxes go down. So if you want to live in a crappy house or not as nice as some others, you're not going to pay as much. That doesn't mean that your taxes have increased. That means the value of your home has increased. And I think that's something that people need to be reminded of. Thank you.
Anyone else online? No. Anyone else online? Last call. Okay, we'll close the public comment. I don't think we have any staff to talk about, so mayor and council, we'll start over on the left tonight.
First off, I want to thank all of you for attending, those online that are watching and commented as well. I wish we had this many people. I wish we had a full room every meeting. I really do. I know ever since I've been elected, I think I've worked pretty tirelessly to try to get things as transparent and communicate and do the things that I heard when I knocked on doors 3 years ago that were the problem. So, and I think this whole council has really made an effort to do that. And, you know, we run into these situations and where we're pushed into a corner, and but we can't kick the can down the road anymore. We have to deal with this stuff. And I was a no vote, but that doesn't mean I don't support police and fire and emergency services, because I certainly do. But again, I listen to the folks in my district, and I'm here to bring their decisions or thoughts or whatever to any vote, and that's what I do. So please don't take it that I don't support police, fire, and emergency services. It's quite the opposite. April 22nd is Earth Day. I woke up the other day and I had this crazy idea that, hey, let's get some people together and let's go around. And I know we have some areas of the city that are just pretty littered up, and thought it might be nice to get a few people together and go out and fill some bags of litter and get them taken care of. So April 22nd, 11 a.m., or actually 10:30, we're gonna meet in the parking lot right over here on the east side, the gravel lot. Gonna have bags, gloves, the whole deal. Anyone wants to volunteer, it's on my city council page. You can email me, text me, whatever. The more, the merrier. Stay tuned, we're probably gonna add a second shift because Evening Rotary wanted to put a crew in, but they can't do it until 5 o'clock. So we may get a couple rounds through town, and I think it's just a good thing to do considering it's Earth Day, and it makes our town look a whole lot better. Last thing, hope many of you are able to head down to the fairgrounds Saturday and Sunday for the Eaton County Business Expo. A lot of people there last year. Changed up a little this year. You're not going to go in the same entrance. You're going to go in through the tent because of the parking changes down there. But should be a pretty good gathering of everyone. So I hope you have a good evening. Be safe. Thanks.
Mr. Newman.
Reflecting on Councilman Christensen's gratitude, thank you for everybody that showed up here, gave your comments, and online as well. It is a tough decision, being newly appointed up here, and trying to make some of the decisions that we think are best for the community is tough and sometimes, but it's a necessary thing that we've got to do. As we spoke earlier, nobody likes new taxes and, or continued taxes, that sort of thing. So hopefully the understanding will go forward, that we're trying to make things better throughout the next, year to where we can hopefully, start working away, from the extended assessments and that sort of thing. Along with the this weekend, the council or the committee that I'm on as a representative for Camp Francis, we'll have a table set up down at the Business Expo as well. So we'll be down there Saturday and Sunday, sharing our ideas and concepts and all of that good stuff.
Very good, Mr. Brumman.
They told me, and I wasn't, I knew it was the case, that there are times that this position is a thankless position. And that's okay, because, it's the job. It's a job that I've taken upon myself. I'm not always going to be making the greatest decisions for us, but long-term, I do believe we're making the right decisions for them, the ones being, born tomorrow or who are a year old today, that we don't end up with, as Mr. Curtis said, Mr. Scott, the village of Sunfield. I mean, if it's the village of Charlotte, that isn't where I grew up, where I was born, in the hospital that no longer bears babies here in the city of Charlotte. But we can be what we were and continue to be what we are and stay strong on that and invite other people to come here to live who want to get away from the rat race of the cities that no one wants to live in now and are moving here. It's not going to be Hastings. In my time, this will not be Hastings. We will not be Marshall, but we can be what we have been and a little bit better. So, I may be, not the person who always backed by everyone, and that's okay, because I think that sometimes we lose sight of where we really have been and where we want to go to because we're worried about today instead of long-term or where we started out when I was, just young here. So in addition to that, though, this, as I said, this next Monday is Arbor Day, and, we eliminated 80-plus trees out of the city without a whole lot of voices being heard, and all we can do is put them back, keep our parks what they are, and not try to develop them, and I do believe that's why you need to be involved with our zoning and our planning, and come and speak your piece about the fact that we may need housing, but we can't eliminate irreplaceable resources in the city. And I stand strong on the fact that we have parks that we have to value and that we have to make sure that they are maintained because you can't just put them up again. It doesn't happen. So if you have an opportunity to get a hold of a tree come Monday and put it in the ground, or you want to put it in the ground before then, so be it, or after that, that's up to you. But I think that Arbor Day is an important day that we need to take note of. On the note of the Eaton County Business Expo, I've been a part of that for over 10 years, and I think it speaks really highly about our community that we have something like that, because it's fine to go to the Lansing Center and step into a building that can be everything you ever want it to be, the circus, the motocross, whatever it is, but we have businesses that are within Eaton County that bring themselves to present the services that they provide, to talk to you, no different than we're talking here, about what we want to see and want to help with. And so if you get an opportunity, whether it's raining out or whether it's sunshiny, please attend that. At least talk with some of these people who want to see their businesses survive in this community and take care of your properties in however fashion that is, or the nonprofits that were mentioned that help us to be what we are. So, yeah, that's all I've got at the moment.
Thank you. Mr. Scott.
Just a couple of things to add. First, I want to thank everybody for coming. This was inspiring, even if we disagreed with each other. This was inspiring, and I have to say, I was worried at the last meeting when we had the same topic, and it was the least amount of people we've seen in a very long time. It would have been very helpful if we were all there. I want a couple positives. I just want to address what Mr. Laup said back there. Of all the people who clearly did this to their eyebrows when I said that I was from Charlotte, the one thing they all had in common was that not a one of them had been to one of our festivals. So I count that as old news in all cases, and told every one of them, you should check it out. Our festivals are incredible, and they are. We're doing some amazing city making with that. Parks, I want to address what Justin was just saying. Our parks are incredible too, and I think that we could play them better than play them more robustly than we do to get people out to them. I think the world doesn't know how amazing our parks really are. And finally, I just wanted to say a really fun thing I got to do this week that I forgot to mention was I'm also a member of the CARC committee, and we got to replace the very cool equipment at the aquatic center that was being used up by so much play by so many children. So anyway, check out the aquatic center's new stuff sometime in the next month or so.
Councilman Chin.
Yes, thank you for coming this evening, and we certainly, I certainly am hearing what you're saying. Unfortunately, I don't want to lose our ambulance services, fire and police reductions in the community I chose to come back to after leaving in 1993. I retired and came back in 2015 because the city I lived in was more costly than what it is even today here. Water and sewer rates, taxes altogether. Certainly, I had to consider some of those. As I said, I'm on fixed income, on pension and Social Security, so I understand there is a breaking point. Not too long ago, we met, Councilman Scott and I met with the senior citizens at the Edmund building, and certainly heard a lot of what they're going through from that standpoint. You know, I've been meeting and talking to a lot of the developers specifically, and certainly I'm not sure where it came from, but I have not heard anyone saying that we're unfriendly, and so, you know, I mean, it's I guess we're talking to different people, and we're trying to extend ourselves out from that standpoint. But those that I went to a financial meeting that a bank that does a lot of the money for home improvements and loans, et cetera, from that standpoint. And there was a young developer there that had two projects going on in St. John. But after I talked to him and told him what we're trying to do, he got my contact information and said, hey, as soon as I'm done with these two projects, St. John, I want to come down to Charlotte and revisit. I have relatives there, and I'm certainly interested in the mere fact that we worked hard to bring the building department, building inspection back to the city, which they gave up as a cost-saving measure. The council back in 21 decided to do that. And after we lost our one and only certified inspector who retired, they had to do something, and that ended up not being the best thing to do from that standpoint. My contact information, my email, my phone number is on the website. Anytime you want to have a discussion or know a lot more about what's going on, feel free to get a hold of me. I get calls all the time. I'm a late night person, so even if it's 9, 10 o'clock and you want to give me a call, feel free to do so. If you get my voicemail, I have my own rule in terms of making sure I get back to you within 24 hours from that call. So feel free to do that, and certainly would enjoy the input that you have. Fortunately or unfortunately, I'm not done until 2028, along with Mr. Scott here. So we're not up for reelection, and so we certainly invite you to get a hold of us. And I think Mr. Scott has a coffee hour every Tuesday morning, I believe it is, 10 o'clock. I tried coffee hours and both morning and afternoon for almost a year, and got no visitors. So I drank a lot of coffee. So from that standpoint, I just leave it now to if you need to get a hold of me, just do so. And certainly I want to hear from you if it's an issue that doesn't quite fit, but also too if there's positive things that you want to talk and encourage us to do, certainly feel free to do that as well. Thank you.
Mr. Chin, I'd just like to mention that the manager and I met with LEAP, which is the Lansing Economic Area Partnership. Kind of a funny one. Anyway, we met with them and with the executive director of that organization. They planned for the Tri-County area, and he had nothing but good things to say about Charlotte. That we get pumped up all the time. They're responsible for the Markham project that's out north of town that is already, according to the building guys, already asking to put an addition on, maybe another big addition. They've just started production. He actually said to us that could be as big as any industry you've ever had in this town because they're from Canada. He was really pretty upbeat, wasn't he? And then I thought it was such a great idea that I nominated him to go to the executive board meeting tomorrow, spend all afternoon in Jackson learning all about him. But it was a good report. So with that,
Very good, yeah.
accept a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Oh, meeting adjourned.